Hello, and welcome to the Spud Webb episode of the Hoop Theory Podcast, aka episode 87, which is in honor of him being the best player to ever be selected with the 87th overall pick in the NBA draft. Recording this one on the evening of Monday, June 3rd. My name is Logan Wertman, and as usual, I'm joined by my pleasant co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how does it feel to be on the Spud Webb episode?
It feels pretty good. Have you heard the one story about Michael Jordan when he was a child, though? He was like in North Carolina, and there was like a little crick in the way, and then he heard an old man yell, "Jump, man!" And that's how he got his nickname, and that old man was Spud Webb.
Really?
No, that's completely made up and not even possible timeline-wise, but I just thought it'd be a funny pretend tale to tell about the, not the shortest, but one of the shorter-statured NBA players, famously known for winning a dunk contest.
At least one, yeah. I think even multiple.
The one that I always think of is against Dominique Wilkins. I think that's like the big one.
86, I think. Yeah.
I believe so. Because I think it was the MJ one, and then the next year or the year after was the Spud Webb Dominique Wilkins one, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think that's probably the most like David and Goliath, because Spud Webb was like what?
5'6".
5'6". Yeah.
You don't see players like that anymore. That's
no.
Wouldn't survive on defense.
But no, then the jumping part, like he was in the dunk contest.
Yeah, I mean
that part is also crazy.
I feel like
that's the equivalent of
people like that like Mike McClung. That's the reason why he can't get a roster spot, but he can be in the dunk contest. But he's not that short. But
think about like if proportionally, like Dwight Howard could jump like Spud Webb, like direct proportion. He's dunking on like a paw. It'd be like a 14-foot hoop.
Yeah, that's true.
That was quick math and wrong, but close enough. The concept's there. He dunked on a 12-foot hoop, I think, a dunk contest.
Dwight did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of crazy.
I think JaVale did a 12 and a 10 at the same time, which is one of the most overlooked dunks in a dunk contest ever, honestly. Was JaVale McGee's.
That is kind of spectacular.
Yeah. But
I'm waiting for somebody to do some like crazy stuff and like touch the ball on the top of the backboard or just something banana crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that needs to happen soon. Get Giannis or Victor in a dunk contest. That would be.
I don't know if I'd rather watch. I don't know. Maybe.
You don't think Victor would be?
No, I'm not saying he couldn't do good. I'm more just scared because I would like to see Victor sauce people up for many years to come.
And not get injured, you're saying. And
not get injured. I'm not saying that the dunk contest leads to injuries. It just makes my stomach boil and curdle a little, scare me. I don't know. I got a lot of milk in my tummy, I guess. I don't know.
That's an interesting visual. But yeah, I guess before we get into today's episode.
Is it pleasant? Is that my adjective today so I can remember how to act all day?
Oh, yeah. Is that how you do this? You have to take on that.
That's why I'm extra whiny when I was not infantile.
Embryonic?
Embryonic. I act extra whiny. I was caged last episode. So I will be pleasant today.
Yeah.
How do you do, NBA fans? Logan's going to do the rest of the intro.
Yeah, so before we get into today's episode, just be sure to like, subscribe, follow the feed, all of those things. Check out the Patreon at patreon.com/hooptheory. Buy me a coffee.
/ Yes, sir.
I don't think it's / I think it's just / normal slash. Whatever the normal slash is, which I think is back.
I think the normal / is /.
That would be back to me. The one that's on the question mark on your keyboard?
The one that leans forward is back? My mind might be just like,
I guess
in my brain, it's because you lean forward or you're leaning back. That's probably wrong, though. I probably just have it backwards.
No, you're probably right. I guess I don't know why. I honestly don't have an argument for why that should be called /. I thought that usually when you say slash, it's just slash.
It is a /.
It is? Okay.
Hold on. Yeah.
So
tilted towards the right is forward, tilted towards the left is back.
So top to the right, you're saying, is
Yeah,
forward.
so if the line looks like it's leaning forward like Michael Jackson,
yeah.
or if it's leaning back,
Yeah.
with forward being to your right.
Uh-huh. I'm glad we got that straightened out. But
hey, somebody cared.
yeah.
What a pleasant diversion that was.
Yeah. So patreon.com/hoop theory, as well as buymeacoffee.com/hoop theory. And then also the mailbag is hooptheory.mailbag@gmail.com. We might be getting into a couple of those later on today if we have the time, but very soon we will get to those, if not today. And then go follow us on TikTok, almost to 5K, which means almost to the jersey giveaway. Yeah, all the other places too. Just follow us there.
That could also be a WNBA jersey if that's your thing.
Yeah, could be any.
I talked to my guy, so that is doable.
Mm-hmm. Could be a college. I think some people put a college jersey as what they would prefer, but I don't know if that's doable. I guess.
have to double check, but we're pretty sure we can do that. We'll talk with the person that gets selected once we get to the 5,000 and get the details. Because I know some of the old ones are like tough to get. Like my buddy wanted the Purple Rain Nas Reed.
That's an old one.
It's like 2 years old.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd think
like a couple years back.
Okay.
No, he can do throwbacks pretty easy, but it's
like a throwback college one though. You think?
Probably. We'll see.
Like
I'll ask him. We'll find out.
Something like Charles Barkley Auburn jersey, I think is what.
Oh, that'd be sick. I almost will get one. If they get that, I will get a matching one.
Yeah. I think that was what it was, at least. But
yeah, I'm going to actually maybe just do that anyway.
Yeah. Honestly, it's really good taste.
Actually, do I want a Dream Team Charles Barkley jersey?
That would be cool.
Hold on.
We had some comments on that video that like I was like, wow, our audience has some pretty good taste in jerseys. Like I really liked some of those. I think one of them was like the purple Raptors Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay, also, here's another thing. When we get to 5 million followers on anything.
5 million?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're going really, really far in the future, maybe.
Every single person that has a comment on that video today, when this goes up,
all of them
we'll give them a week. Everyone will get the jersey they pick.
Wow.
How many comments does it have?
Like 40 something, 50 something.
Yeah. When we're at the 5 million followers on something, I'll do it. I'll do that alone. I'll bankroll that solo.
All right. I like that promise.
When we get to 5 million.
I'll help you on
Write that down.
Yeah.
5 million.
On something. It could be anything.
Or maybe we should do everything combined. No, yeah, everything combined.
Okay. Honestly?
I think
we're probably not going to be on more than like 5 or 6 platforms. So that's like around 1 million. We'd have to be like an average of 1 million per, Like
a pretty solid NBA size.
Yeah, something
like
that is.
Stephen A would check our pod for thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. That would be definitely more than we could ask for. Honestly. But
I feel like that's never going to happen. But if it does,
yeah.
Shout out to you 40-ish
maybe
people.
If we diversify, get into some other markets as well, start a network.
Yeah.
Something like become bigger.
Get asked to be on the what's Colin Cowherd's thing?
His podcast network?
He's got like a podcast network that Draymond's the only one on it.
Oh, I was thinking we'd make our own, but
we would replace Draymond.
No,
we would overthrow Colin Cowherd. Oh, we would just make our own.
Just have our own network. Yeah, totally separate from Colin Cowherd. He's not involved in it at all.
Anyway, what a pleasant experience that was.
Yeah.
Check out the Patreon, check out the TikTok, check out all the things, and like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, stop what you're doing. If you're at work typing away or whatever you do at your job, just take your little mouse, slide on over to the thumbs up button, give it a little click-a-rooski. And if you also are looking at YouTube and it doesn't say subscribed with a D at the end, and it just is the word subscribe, go ahead and click on that button as well, because it'll make me smile. Logan sends me the croissant emoji every time someone subscribes on YouTube, and it makes my day. I purchase a croissant from the nearest bakery every time, so eaten a lot of croissants recently.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. You've made a lot of pledges, or at least said, you're going to...
That one was a fallacy.
Yeah.
A fake
farce.
Fake news.
Sorry to spoil everybody's...
I do not eat what is it? It'd be like 300 croissants. I've not eaten 300 croissants in the past year.
Yeah.
I may look like it, but I have not done so.
It's like less than a croissant a day. But yeah, so I guess moving on into the actual episode that we have planned today, we got the NBA Finals a brewing. You know, that's going to be going on. Probably has already started by the time somebody is hearing this episode air, because that is going to be starting in a couple days from now.
Thursday. 3 days from now.
Yeah.
It is, as Logan said, the 3rd of June in the year of our Lord 2024.
Mm-hmm. So definitely coming up on us right now. And that, obviously, I'm sure everybody knows by now, especially if you're listening to this podcast, that is going to take place between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, boy.
The Dallas Mavericks being the 5th seed in the Western Conference, and a team
would
that
probably be was it the 3 seed in the East or something like that?
Their record on the year, off the top of my head, was like, did they have 50 wins? Were they over 50 wins?
It might be dead on 50. That sounds right. Because it
so
is right.
Tied, so they would have been tied for a second, and it maybe had the tiebreaker over the Knicks, so they could have been the 2 seed, potentially.
Yeah, the 2 or the 3 seed. So just for perspective on the difficulty, the level of difficile in the West, it was very tight, contested. They were the 5th seed. They got what I would consider this year the easiest path out West, excuse me. Like, out of all the teams in the West, they got the route that was the most desirable.
Really?
Because I think the Clippers, as they were beat up, like, it wasn't like a full-fledged strength Clippers. So that helped. Then you got a young team in the Thunder, which pressed them, but it was also young, so they just had to, like, not necessarily good, but I think that playoffs, like, youth matters kind of a lot. Like, not having been in the moment yet, I think that's what ended up.
So do you think it's comparable to what the Celtics?
No.
Okay,
no,
I was going to say, that's not even
I just
close.
was saying it was the easiest path in the West.
Okay, but yeah.
And then you got a T-Wolves that were, like, 1, young, and then 2 had just, I don't even know how else to put this, just kind of blew their load against the Nuggets.
Yeah, just they fell apart. They seemed to fall apart a little bit. Ant got injured right at the end of the...
They got really tired. They just were tired because of the battle they just went through.
Yeah.
But, like, out of anybody else, I'm not sure what other path you would desire.
Yeah. I mean, because
anybody that played the Nuggets, it's not that.
Yeah, other than the Wolves. The Wolves were, like, the only... If you want to go that route, I definitely have seen some Nuggets fans who I see their point in saying that they don't think we would have beat Dallas if we would have won Game 7 against the Wolves, because they thought like we just seemed like we were out of gas, which I kind of agree with. It did, like, ever since the very end of the regular season, the last couple games of the regular season, the Nuggets didn't really seem like the same Nuggets as they were just a few weeks prior to that.
Also, why we touch on the Nuggets, because we probably won't get back to them. Thoughts and prayers to Aaron Gordon's family. That is terrible. His older brother passed away in a car accident.
Yeah.
A lot of unfortunate things going on around the family members of Nuggets players. And it's just brutal, that type of stuff. So I saw that and I was like, man, I believe it. Is it Dominic? No, it's not that.
It's
gosh dang it, I should know
Drew.
the name.
Drew Gordon.
Drew.
Mm-hmm. He was
former
in the NBA, yeah.
NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's brutal.
It is, yeah. So prayers out to them. But yeah, I guess, so you were saying Dallas, yeah, their easiest path in the West, which I guess, yeah, I could concede that too, but I don't think that's saying very much, though, because I think the West this year was kind of just a gauntlet. Yeah. So in the East, I think I'll put it this way. I think every single team that the Mavs have played so far are better than every single team that the Celtics have played so far. There's not one team the Celtics have played that would beat one of the teams.
In a vacuum, I agree.
Yeah.
But I disagree, as I think that how bad the T-Wolves performed, whether that's... They just didn't seem like the T-Wolves that beat the Nuggets. They seemed like off or different.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like... And it's not that they were better. I feel like the Wolves and the Pacers were similar to how well the Pacers played in the series that they played against the Celtics. With how bad the T-Wolves played, they were comparable, if that makes sense.
maybe somewhat, I guess. That feels very wrong to me, just off rip, but maybe, I guess. Yeah.
Like, I think in a vacuum, if they played each other stylistically, it doesn't work. But if you could just say that the Pacers equal a 7 out of 10 good, or whatever, 5 out of 10, whatever number you want to use, because of how bad the T-Wolves played, their numbers would be about the same. In like a vacuum. Obviously matchup-wise, the matchup would favor the Timberwolves just because of the monstrosities that they have.
Yeah. It's hard to account for, like, with the how well they played thing, like...
Yeah.
But, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Celtics had a way easier path, it's not a question. They were supposed to, they're in the East. If they would have had a difficult path, I would have been confused a little bit.
But also, like, I disagree with... I'll push back on that a little bit, because you weren't expecting it. Nobody was expecting it to be this easy going into this year. Were you really counting on every team that you played losing their best player, and all the teams that they played losing their best player?
No, I'm just saying that I don't know how much worse it would have been. Like, the only, like, team, obviously people getting hurt.
Yeah, like, what if you had to go through the Bucks at full strength? What if you had to go through the Sixers at full strength? And, like...
yeah, it obviously would have been harder, but I don't lose. I still expect the same outcome.
I would say the Celtics are the favorite, but that would be a much harder run up until this point, like, not even close. It'd be more similar to what the Mavs have gone through.
Yeah, I guess.
If not even more, honestly. If you're saying those guys,
I wish we would have just played the Bucks and the Sixers, and it just would have been the path we had. That would have made me happier.
I mean,
because I think we still would have won anyway.
Yeah, that's not a requirement for winning the championship. It hardly ever is. Yeah. But I was just saying that, like, you said that you would be surprised if it wasn't like a cakewalk, And
cakewalk, yeah. Obviously, it was easier than it should have been. But when the year started, I was in the camp that if the Celtics do not represent the East in the finals, it has been a legitimately disappointment of a season. Like, it was, They were that much head and shoulders better constructed, just talent-wise, just at all facets. Outside of there's a couple series where they would not have the singular best player on the court. Because, like, if Joel Embiid's playing at the level he was until he got hurt or could, and Giannis was playing at a high level, there's times where Jason Tatum is the best player on the court, but it's not very often. A lot of the time, those guys will just edge him out there. But then the Celtics would have the next 5 best players a lot of the time. Or 4, with, like, Dame. Tyrese Maxey obviously has moments, but, like... But this is before the season. Obviously now, Tyrese Maxey would not be the 6th best player if the Celtics and the...
Oh, yeah.
Actually, maybe he would.
The 6th? Wait,
Embiid,
you're including...
Tatum, Brown, KP...
You're putting KP over Maxey.
I think that's arguable.
Okay. I don't...
Do you think it's not even close at all?
I think it's pretty clearly Maxey. But, like...
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's no sort of argument you can make, but I feel like anybody making that argument should be willing to...
Do you not think that KP would be, in a scenario where he's, like, the only guy... wouldn't be able to do similar things, or
You're saying as a number one option? Yeah, no, then it's definitely Maxey.
Not as a number. I'm more saying as in, like, not sacrificing just a million things.
I think that's the only thing that helps his argument is him starring in a lesser role. If they're both playing, like, maximized roles, then yeah, Maxey.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't have that much faith in Maxey. I don't know.
I thought you, like, were terrified of Tyrese Maxey.
Just because of how fast he is. That's the only thing that really, like... And
he makes huge shots, and he's...
He has it against me. In my squad.
I guess not. Not that I can think of. Well, yeah. I mean, he's still very young, too, but...
The only times that I remember him against the Celtics were crazy turnovers. Like, very untimely turnovers.
Yeah, and that's probably his biggest weakness.
Because he's 21?
21, 22, somewhere in there, yeah. But I also just the availability thing, I think, is a big factor.
That's big, for sure.
But, yeah, Porzingis is definitely... he's not, like, a ballpark away from him, but like it's just Tyrese Maxey was a all-star starter this year, and KP
because of
what?
Wasn't it injuries is the only reason he was a starter?
No. Who would have started over him? He was voted in as a starter.
Mitchell?
He was voted in over Mitchell. Tyrese Maxey?
Oh. Wow,
I don't think you like nobody disagreed with that. Not that I remember.
I'm just crossing wires in my brain.
Because it was Maxey was a starter, and then
Brunson?
Yeah, that was it was Dame was the other starter. But
which was wrong. That was the wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was like Maxey was number 1, and then the discussion started at 2. Like Maxey was the best guard in the East at the All-Star break, unequivocally, which is kind of wild. That's a pretty.
At the end of the season, that was not even close to the case, but at the All-Star break, yes.
Not even close. Maxey. How many Eastern guards would you say are unequivocally above Maxey if you were on the season
at the
as
end
a
of
whole?
The season?
Yeah, unequivocally. Might be 0. Might be probably 1. Jalen Brunson,
because he was legitimately almost first team All NBA, incorrectly, but was almost first team All NBA.
Yeah, so Brunson was the only one I'll say is unequivocal. The closest other one is I could see.
If you're
Mitchell.
just going just straight guard, yeah. And then Mitchell would be in the same, probably below Maxey.
On the season as a whole, I wouldn't mind somebody saying Mitchell over Maxey. But I think at the All-Star break,
Hallie,
especially.
because he didn't keep it up.
Yeah, definitely not.
I guess you're probably right.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I just feel like KP is like, he's on the sub All-Star sort of range, and Maxey's like bordering on superstar almost. Like he's right below that. He's right below the whatever Brunson is. He's like right there, right below that.
Yeah. My brain's probably just thinking too much playoffs. Where obviously he had good play, like he was the reason it went 7, but then he also was why they lost game. Was it 7?
He was why they lost game 7. I guess I don't.
He had like 6 turnovers or something like that, and 3 of them were in the fourth quarter.
I mean, Embiid, I think, was the biggest reason they lost.
Embiid should not have played, which I think is hopefully when they're judging Embiid's resume, they give him the credit for gutting out that playoffs when he probably shouldn't have in hindsight. But
yeah, but Maxey had a 50-point game, didn't he?
Yeah, in game 6, 5.
Yeah,
maybe it was earlier.
Which is about as much as you could ask for from a player in the playoffs. There's not, I mean, that's not like a casual thing people just do.
For sure.
In the playoffs. Yeah.
There's probably single-digit guys that have done that in the NBA now.
Active players.
Yeah, active players. Yes.
Yeah.
Active.
Honestly, it might be around that. But yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Nope, you're good.
I was just gonna reel us back in to the Celtics because I guess we were just going over the path thing, how they got here. But so it was definitely an easier path than normal. Might be the most ever. Could be. I'm not going to sit here and argue that case, I guess, but I definitely think it's a candidate for that.
Top 5 for sure.
Yeah, and
having been someone that went through and looked, it is definitely top 5. Just because the injury breaks that they ran into.
Yeah, even just especially accounting for the injury breaks of the teams that could have been there instead of the opponent they were facing that was also injured. All adds up kind of a lot. But so it's going to be a finals matchup though between these two teams, and I think that honestly, just thinking about Dallas being in the championship, going back to preseason, that would have been a wild thing to think about. That's for sure.
But I think that, and I'd like to go back and I need to go back and listen to what we said initially. But with Dallas, I feel like we both were off on Dallas, but it was based on the fact that we didn't think Kyrie would buy in like he did. I think that was a strong 70% of, at least for me. I don't want to speak for you, but that's a huge reason why I was I don't know if I'm that in on the Mavericks. I just don't know what Kyrie's gonna do. That was my big decider for me.
Yeah, I definitely did not foresee him being the factor that he has been.
Like people claiming that this might be the best basketball Kyrie's ever played.
It's probably at that same level.
He's at that same level as he was in
Cleveland.
16.
Mm-hmm.
15, was it 15, 16 or 16, 17? Whenever it was, that same era.
Both of those years, yeah. 16 was his best year, though, I think, off the top of my head.
Because that's the one where he had the Kyrie Hall of Fame, the shot that'll play.
Yeah, the game winner in Game 7. Yeah. One of the best shots in NBA history.
Ever.
Yeah, so, but maybe we'll get another one of those. Who knows?
Who knows?
This series, I think, is going to be a fun one, honestly. Got some teams that are pretty, I wouldn't say evenly matched. I would say the Celtics are definitely the favorite. I haven't looked at the betting odds, by the way. That's something that we should probably do.
I know that for Game 1, Celtics were 7 or 6.5 point favorites.
But on overall, you know what the...
Celtics were favored, but I don't know the gap. Celtics are minus 220, and the Mavericks are plus 184.
Okay, so that's closer than I thought it would be.
I think it's closer than it should be, but it is close.
Yeah.
But Tatum is the odds-on favorite to win Finals MVP. Then Luka. Honestly, they don't really have faith in anybody outside of maybe Jaylen Brown, but like Luka's plus 2,000. Sorry, Luka's plus 200. So pretty much if the Mavericks win, Luka's the Finals MVP, and then it's just giant gaps after that.
So what's Tatum?
Minus 120. So it's pretty much just they think that it'll be the Celtics, and then it'll be Tatum if the Celtics win.
Yeah, for him to have negative odds, that means that he's more likely than the field.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that they're more like it's just the Celtics are the most likely, and that's why they're like, which I don't. Yeah, I think there is a sneaky world where it ends up being Derek White in a similar reason that it was Iguodala, but we can talk about that as we look at the matchups.
I just don't really agree with Tatum being that heavy of a favorite for the Finals MVP.
So just the Celtics.
I know.
He's minus 120 to 200.
I just feel like with the Celtics, I could see a world where
any of the starting five.
Exactly. Any of them win Finals MVP.
Because if Jaylen does a bunch of offensive stuff, his same reason he got Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
He just did.
Jaylen will also probably get some assignments on Luka, like in switches and stuff.
Yeah.
And if he performs well there.
Yeah.
And then Drew, if either Kyrie or Luka could just blanket it and he has okay offensive performances. Same thing with Derek White. KP would be a story. If he has if there's a Kristaps game that's just nuts and he has a pretty solid series, there's a universe it's him. Jason Tatum's very clearly probably the safest bet, but him being, 720 over Jaylen because Jaylen's at plus 600.
Yeah, and then Kyrie's fourth.
At plus 2,000. So it's pretty much if the Mavericks win it, it's Luka, which is probably correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Luka's much more if the Mavs win, it's probably Luka, if not Kyrie.
Okay. I was looking at the order and they had Derek Jones Jr. above PJ Washington. I'm like, that feels wrong. But it's all the same odds when you get far enough down. So it's not.
But still, it could, because he's going to be a lot more important this series defensively for guarding the best players.
Yeah.
And PJ Washington is going to be, like you said last episode, apparently he's a liability against Tatum. So that's definitely going to be a thing that sways that, seesaw a little bit. And then KP, I feel like he also might be set up for not a great series, because he's coming back from injury, and
they just have the bodies to throw at him that are.
Yeah, and also the defensively is the main thing, how we just saw them, how they attacked Minnesota with Gobert being a drop coverage big rim protector by putting him in the pick and roll every time and just destroying the drop coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So KP is going to have to be able to offer something that Gobert couldn't, and also he's going to have to do it on a bum calf. So I just feel like there's some ingredients there for a series. It's KP, he's being kind of targeted on the defensive end. And
I also wonder, because I think there's a lot of just also partially because of Boston's ability to switch on defense, and then also partially because of what the Mavericks do and the personnel that they run offensively. There's a world where they put KP on someone that doesn't really make sense to try to run a pick and roll with Luka. They have like KP do weird things, and then like maybe Jason Tatum is like the center, the rim protector, air quote.
Yeah.
Like they just have the ability to do a lot of weird things, and you feel a lot better about Jason Tatum having to figure out how to pick up Luka in that open court scenario than you do about KP. Like we saw him do it against earlier in the year, like during the regular season matchups, the personnel, the weird things they threw at, obviously playoffs is a different monster.
Tatum might be guarding him like just as it is. Like, yeah, obviously they're not. I don't think the Mavericks are going to be trying to get any switches onto Tatum with Luka. I don't think that's going to happen.
What I'm saying is they might put KP on like PJ Washington,
who is a very good roller, a good pick and roll partner
with Luka.
Yeah, PJ Washington is like a lob threat roller.
Yeah.
Anybody but Kyrie, and even him, he's a good screen and like pop guy. I mean, in today's NBA, especially with a guy like Luka, whoever the guy is on the floor, you're not going to be able to hide him. Like whoever that guy is guarding is going to be brought up in the screen. And then obviously from there, the Celtics might try things like scram switches where like as that action is starting, then they're doing a coordinated switch. But even then, like Luka's faced things like that before and still got in his way. Luka's not
going to be what gets slowed down. I'm not going to say not slowed down because the Celtics guards have the thickness to kind of not let Luka do what the T-Wolves. That was the biggest thing, that like the T-Wolves guards that are so good defensively, like against Jamal Murray, but they weren't like thick enough to handle the onslaught of Luka for the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Celtics guards are just a little bit thicker.
Yeah, the Timberwolves' weird weak spot, even though they had this unbelievable defensive team, their weird weak spot was not having. I think we talked about this last episode.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up again.
Kyle
that
Anderson
Luka stopper
was like the only guy that I was like, oh, that guy actually matches what you would want for a Luka defender in a vacuum, but he didn't get very much time out there. So, because Jaden McDaniels is just too thin, and also he's way too aggressive and foul prone for a guy who's a master manipulator like Luka Doncic.
And that's another thing that I will be interested to see. It's like an Mavericks pick up fouls. That's like a big thing they do very well. Luka specifically. And then the Celtics don't foul.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get called for fouls, whatever angle you want to take it at.
Yeah, but literally none of your guys are foul prone. None of them.
So I'm just curious to see how that like back and forth goes.
I think Jaylen Brown might be the most foul prone, and he's not even that bad.
Yeah. And I'm just curious to see also if they are going to randomly start calling the offensive, like, initiating contact foul, whatever they're calling it. Or they don't. I'm just curious to see if that changes or if it doesn't. If it does, people are going to lose their minds because they want Boston to win. It's going to be the narrative or whatever, but I'm just curious. I'm excited. I'm irritated we had to wait this long. I don't know if I've been trying to not. It's dumb we had to wait this long. I get why they had to line things up, blah, blah, blah. It's dumb. I hate it. Not because of both teams getting rest. I don't care about that. It's just I had to sit there for a week with no basketball when it's like you're just it's like a sleepover. You find out you're having a sleepover with your friend on Friday and it's Monday and you just want to die and you're just all excited and you're just waiting and then you just have to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and you just don't get to see it and just experience it. You just have to wait.
Yeah, I honestly kind of liked the break because it just gave me some ease of like being able to actually work more on things and get stuff out instead of having to keep up with all the games. But as a basketball fan, though, yeah, I'm definitely very ready for it. Last year, it felt nice to have I'm pretty sure the Nuggets had 9-day break after the conference finals last year because we swept the Lakers and then you guys went 7 with the Heat. So I guess the Heat didn't get a huge break, but the Nuggets had 9 days off between Game 4 and Game 1.
But us sweeping did not matter at all. or them, sorry, you sweeping and us going 7 just doesn't matter at all. The Heat just didn't get as big of a break. That's the only way it mattered. In terms of days off type of thing if the Heat would have won in 5, the Nuggets still would have gotten 9 days just because it's the finals. And I get why they do it. It just is just irksome.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the Celtics though are probably my pick, to be honest. Like we said, I think it's the more likely one. I do feel like there is definitely some Luka magic that can happen. And I don't think that this is like a foregone conclusion at all, because of how the Mavs have played up until this point has been rather impressive.
No, I think that's the biggest thing is like Luka's going to have Luka magic, but it's going to require, for it to be as fun as we kind of want it to, not me, but people want it to be, the role players for the Mavericks will have to continue to play at that, because they've been playing out of their noggins.
Exactly.
Just absolutely bonkers.
That's the reason they're here, to be honest. Is everybody outside of Luka and Kyrie.
Was there a series that you think they won because of Luka outside of the T-Wolf series?
Obviously, they're not going to win any of those series without Luka.
Yes, but obviously, the X factor, the X factor that definitely changed it. I think it was PJ Washington series 1, and I think it was Kyrie series 2, and then Luka obviously is why they won the T-Wolf series.
I would say PJ Washington was more. I don't know. I guess Daniel Gafford also was huge series 2 against the Thunder. I just think it was Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. Those 4 guys really are, for the most part, are. I want to make sure I'm not leaving anybody out, but yeah, I think those 4 guys are definitely the group of guys that have been performing at a very, very high level, just making the difference, in the series with the Thunder, where I felt like the best players on each team were somewhat similar. I think the Mavs were maybe a little bit better because Luka, although he didn't have as good of a series as SGA, I think SGA was the best player in that series. He
SGA's had the best series of the playoffs, probably.
Yeah.
Against the team that's in the finals.
Yeah. And then Kyrie played a lot better, though, than the Thunder's number 2, which was Jalen Williams, who, didn't perform all that well.
In large part due to the defense of the role player guys that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And then all those guys who aren't good 3-point, like Derek Jones Jr. and PJ Washington, both guys that normally you let shoot. Like they're not that big of threats, but they have been making well over 40% of their threes. At one point, PJ Washington was making 56% of his threes in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is just you can't beat that because
on not zero volume.
Yeah.
That was the thing
that was what teams were trying to do at the beginning. The Clippers and the Thunder, both of their game plans against the Mavs was get the ball out of Luka and Kyrie's hands because we don't want them just
to do anything.
Doing anything. We want them to lose the ball because we'd rather give up open corner threes to these guys who aren't shooters. But then those guys were shooters over and over again. So that's why they couldn't do it there. But then against the T-Wolves, they actually changed up a little bit because it was these guys are beating everybody else. We need to start paying attention to them. But then it became Luka and Kyrie are just going to eviscerate the drop coverage if you're not going to double them. They're just going to get to their spot off the screen, and it's going to be, curtains from there.
This is another narrative that I've seen with the matchup of these two is someone said that it's like the OKC Maverick series again, but OKC's just better by a lot at shooting threes.
Which series is like that?
The Boston Celtics Maverick
series.
Oh,
you're saying OKC's like Boston.
In terms of how they operate offensively, except Boston hits threes at a relatively high clip.
Yeah, I would say even more defensively, they're similar than offensively. Yes. But just because
they don't have that true big, they do, but they don't have that they just have one.
It's a skinny stretch rim protector guy.
which is, yeah. And then you have everything
Wings.
else that's rather switchable, a lot of good defensive guys. But they're just better at it.
Boston is just like a much more seasoned, like fully realized version. Like they're like an evolved version of the Thunder.
Step.
Yeah, like couple steps, honestly, maybe, because the Thunder are just so young. And you comparing a guy like Cason Wallace to like Drew Holiday, you know,
yeah, you're right.
I mean,
right.
they're in a similar class. It's just like one of them is
Drew Holiday and is going to be in the Hall of Fame, odds are, and then the other one is just starting his career as a NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought that was interesting, especially like when you really think about it. Like there are a lot of things. Obviously, offensively, it's not the same because the Celtics' best player is not their slasher, point guard, do everything guy. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting, like looking at it that way. But I don't know if Luka has another bad series. You know what I mean? Because he had like a bad series against the Thunder.
Because
if the Mavericks plan, if Luka does if it's similar, let's say it just plays out similarly, the Mavericks aren't gonna win. If they think that it's gonna be, we'll be able to rely on these other guys.
Well, who knows? I mean, I think that depends on what Boston chooses. Honestly, like it could be. It could come down to if Boston is choosing what to use the game plan that the Thunder and the Clippers did, which is we're going to give those shots to the role guys because we don't think they'll keep making them. Whether that pays off or not could be what, decides the series.
I also feel like offensively, the Celtics offense is just definitely way better than Minnesota's. And then this will be the best offense the Mavericks have had to try to figure out.
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree, but the Mavs defense has been
really, really
really good.
We've talked about that, like Luka and Kyrie usually in a vacuum are slight negatives defensively to major negatives depending on the night. They have both been positive defensive players this playoff run, which has enabled so many things to happen. And maybe that's part of why those role player guys are playing better is because they don't have to spend 99.9% of their energy on or defense and have some left on the offensive side of the court. Who knows? No, obviously the Celtics fan part of me wants this to just be systematic, gentleman sweep, 5 games, in and out, hold up the trophy in Boston and be done with it. Do I think that'll happen? Brain is saying no, heart's saying maybe, but that's probably not what's going to happen. I feel like the logical thing to say is 6 leans 7 more than 5.
I agree with that. That's exactly what I was about to say.
But my heart really wants to go 5 leans 6. Infinitely more than 4.
Yeah.
I keep making jokes at work because I took off the Friday of Game 4 because we were going to try and go. This was way before I even knew. Honestly, I took this day off, full transparency, in March. I took off the 14th. As soon as they released the days the NBA final things would be. Because they called it a while ago. I don't know exactly what month it was, but anyway.
I don't think it was March, but yeah.
I was like, then take that Friday off. It'll be Game 4. I'll go to, because I knew that the Celtics had the 1 seed. So I'll go wherever the away game is at, thinking it was going to be a Denver or, honestly, I thought it was going to be Denver. Didn't really have Minnesota on that level of the radar.
Really? Wouldn't that be your second team?
It would be, but I didn't even process that. My brain was just it'll probably be in Denver.
For a while, it was I honestly was going into this playoffs, was I'd be surprised if it's not Boston-Denver finals. But that's where we are.
This is where we are. Busted up. But anyway, where was I at?
Sorry, you were saying that you bought tickets a while ago.
Way too early, took the Friday off. I would love for that game to be where they hoisted Larry O'Brien. But that's not going to be the case. It's not going to happen. It'll be a 6-game, probably. My brain, I need to listen to my brain, not my heart.
Yeah. I think it'll probably be 6. Yeah, I think that's 6 or 7.
It won't shock me if it's 5.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be shocked either direction, honestly. I'm just kind of that's my attitude, especially with somebody like Luka. Luka is going to be the best player in the series. Do we both agree on that? Okay.
Yes. No, absolutely. Not close.
He might not have the best series,
But he will be the best player. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's where like the thing gets like, okay, where the placement of Kyrie is where I think the most like discourse happens. If he's above or below Jaylen Brown, or if he's even below more Celtics than that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think he's below anymore.
But I think that's like the biggest, like, because it's Kyrie. No, sorry. It's Luka. It's Tatum. And then where the Kyrie, Jaylen Brown. And it also, I think it depends on what Kyrie shows up. If it's the Kyrie that's shown up. But then also, if you get the same Jaylen Brown that's shown up this playoffs, I feel like he's been
very good also.
Just as good as Kyrie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy to go either direction there. I honestly kind of lean Jaylen a little bit.
But then after that, it's definitely like a couple Celtics.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. It's the rest of the Celtics starting five. And then PJ Washington.
Well, someone said they would take Derek Lively over Kristaps Porzingis any day of the week. I think we talked about this last episode.
I think we did, but I don't remember how. Yeah, that's insane. Also, is he going to be there? Is he going to be playing Lively?
I'm almost positive. Like the Celtics posted a picture yesterday or today of him shooting, and then it just had an hourglass emoji. So they're either just playing mind games with the Mavericks, or he's like ready to go. And like he's been full practice with the guys.
What does that even mean? The hourglass?
Like
what
it's
are they
time,
trying to say?
Like time.
The Celtics posted that?
Yeah.
Of Derek Lively.
Kristaps. I'm sorry.
Oh.
You were saying, is Derek Lively back?
I'm talking about Derek Lively. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I know Porzingis is playing.
Pingus.
That's like guaranteed, isn't it?
I don't know if it's guaranteed. I just know that. Okay.
I feel like I'm not even assuming he's not playing.
Today he was practicing again.
Yeah, I'm basically just chalking him up as he'll be there game one, but maybe not. But Lively is the one I'm talking about with the concussion. Neck. Yeah. Well, yeah, they say it's just a neck thing when he was clearly concussed.
Well, if he was concussed, he could not have played. I don't know if the NBA rules are different. He would have probably not played game 5.
Yeah, so they must have just not diagnosed him with that for that reason, maybe. But he was, as someone who's had multiple concussions, that man was concussed.
Yeah.
And I've had 2 concussions in basketball. So
yeah, I only got football concussions. I don't got no basketball concussions.
Yeah.
How do you get basketball concussions? Just like hitting your head on the ground?
Both of mine were from a ball being
just getting thrown at you?
Yeah.
Oh.
In practice.
I can't believe I forgot about this.
Yeah.
I remember one of them now that I'm like really thinking about it. I didn't realize there was 2.
Yeah, it was. So the first, I guess we'll just go into this, but it was in my junior year of high school. I was rebounding. We were like in practice doing this drill where you're rebounding with a partner, and I was running to get my partner's ball because I was the rebounder, and then all the way across the gym, somebody named.
Oh, it's okay.
I might censor it.
You could just say somebody threw.
He launches this ball, like he beams it across the gym to his partner as I'm running, and it nails me right in the temple.
Oh, wow.
And I felt my brain hit my skull on the other side of my head. And then all I remember was like coming to sitting on the sideline with our assistant coach at the time, leaning like into my face, like, are you okay? Like he kept asking, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's trying to see if I was like responding at all. Cause I wasn't for a while. Apparently I had my eyes open and I was walking, but I was not like conscious. Like I don't remember any of it.
It's like being blackout.
I was like blacked out. But yeah. And then shortly after that, a few days later,
it was probably the same one.
What?
It was probably the same one.
I was concussed again. I got another concussion, but it was probably, I guess it was like a re-aggravation of the same one. I don't know how that works.
That was what I was more saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But I got hit in the head with a ball again, like three days later. So it was probably more than that. It was like a week later, I think. but because I had been cleared enough to play, like actually shoot around, I was not cleared for contact, but I was shooting around again, which is funny. Like in retrospect, that's the drill I literally got hurt in to begin with.
Yeah.
And so we were doing that again. And this time, maybe because of my concussion, I'm not sure. Me and my partner had a miscommunication on how many shots I had shot on my set of 5. I thought I had finished and he thought I still had another one. And so when he was getting up my rebound, he was facing the baseline and I just walked directly right up behind him because I was going to trade places with him. And he, without even looking or thinking about it, spins around and sends the ball as if I'm like directly, 15 feet behind where I am. And the ball nails me right in the forehead. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. And then in robotics class, somebody threw a very heavy metal piece at my head. Like, I think it was either in between those two or right after the second one. And I don't get angry very often at people, like in like a real way, And that was one of the few times I was what are you doing? And it was an upperclassman.
I remember some of the times you've been real mad at me. Like I vividly remember those. But,
I don't even remember those, but
yeah, I remember a one. Anyway, my concussion story is way less fun. So I was a freshman, we're practicing middle linebacker blitzes, got in the way of a large individual, like 6'3", 250, tried to walk on at UNL and was like one of the last cuts for the football team. So it was almost a Division I football player as a walk-on. And then I popped up and I walked to the huddle and then I was very clearly disoriented. This is all after the fact story. No memory of this. And the coach asked, what day is it? I'm like, whatever day it was. Who are we playing this week? And I said Dorchester. The problem with that is we were co-op consolidated we played with the Dorchester team. So it was Milford. Dorchester was a school. We were in fact playing a little town up the road called David City. So I got the D right, but I was I did not.
It wasn't a joint school, but it was joint.
It was a joint
football
athletics
team.
Yeah,
just football, right?
Football, wrestling.
Oh, and wrestling, yeah.
And I don't think they did basketball, softball, maybe.
If they did do basketball, they just didn't have any players because they're a much smaller school than we were. Also, is good context to add.
Yeah. Anyway, honestly, you could probably cut all the concussion talk out, but you can do whatever you want, Mr. Guy. You definitely should cut out the names, though. Your 2 names you should for sure cut out.
Both of them?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I just maybe don't need to. I don't know. I'm always lean on the side of cut names and information than anything else, but I'm also a silly goose, so I don't know. A pleasant silly goose.
Pleasant silly. You keep reminding yourself of that. But anyways, so that's why I'm not sure if Lively's going to be playing, but Maxi Kleba is back and ready for action. He didn't look super great when he came back so far, but maybe he will be. He's definitely going to be necessary, very a major part of this team for speaking defensively, going against their bigger wings and against KP and people like that. So he's going to be a versatile defender for them. But yeah, the rest of the Mavs rotation is very wishy-washy. I don't know who we're going to see night to night. I imagine Josh Green is going to be out there quite a bit. Daniel Gafford, obviously, I think will be the starting and closing center, especially if Lively's not all the way back. I mean, even if Lively's back, it's kind of 50-50.
And honestly, if he is like a little dinged up, I'd imagine that it'd be like you see Gafford start and then just the minutes might be even, or you know what I mean. If he's not fully back, there'd be no reason to rush him back type of scenario. Yeah,
because even when they've both been fully healthy, I love the way they use them too. It's like it's unlike any other, at least really good team right now. How you do their center rotations is they alternate between Gafford and Lively, but they do it like super short bursts. So it's like 4 to 6 minutes. Like Gafford usually starts 4 to 6 minutes, then they rotate in Lively for the next 4 to 6 minutes, and they just keep going back and forth. Yeah,
and then they're whenever there is a sub, it's almost always also the center swapping out. And when you have these like athletic centers, just keeping them fresh is not.
And they're both just like massive hustle guys. I just love it because it allows them to just go full throttle.
And they know they can.
Yeah. Because they're going to get a break in not too long. I think that's honestly a really massive like advantage.
Shout out to Jason Kidd.
Yeah, cool. Rotation thing or quirk that I really enjoy. But yeah, if Lively's not there though, I'm going to see a lot more Gafford. That's for sure. And then Kleba in there, maybe even Powell. We might see Dwight Powell rolling up.
Celtics revenge game.
Ooh, was he on the Celtics at one point?
Very briefly.
Yeah, I think I knew that. He is the longest tenured Maverick. Did you know that?
That's crazy.
Current, obviously, but
yeah,
he's currently the longest tenured player on the Mavericks roster. For those who don't know, most teams, like especially teams that have cores that have stayed together for a while, like it is almost always their best player. Dwight Powell is nowhere close and has never been anywhere close to their best player, but for some reason he's always been here.
He's been there because he was on the Celtics in like the struggle bus years, like the 2014, 2015.
That's when Dwight Powell was
a Celtic, and he went straight to the Mavericks from the Celtics.
Okay, I don't remember Dwight Powell on the Celtics at all, honestly.
The only reason I do is because it was the struggle bus Celtics. And those teams have a special, like, pre-Jalen struggle bus Celtics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's the reason Luka wears number 77 also, which I just think is funny. Because he wears
7?
Yeah, because he has 7 and took it from him already. Looks like he was only on the Celtics in 2015. And he played 5 total games for the Boston Celtics.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just more knew that they drafted him. Out of a Stanford Cardinal is Dwight Powell. Big old noggin on that guy.
Yeah. But
also,
anyway,
the 2015-14 Celtics, best players like...
The 15-14 Celtics?
14-15, whatever. Like, maybe it's Jeff Green, probably? Avery Bradley? No, Avery Bradley played really well. Jay Crowder?
He's not the best player.
No, I'm just listing guys on that team.
Yeah. Marcus Smart would have been there.
Old-ass Jared Wallace was on those teams, on one or two of those teams.
Yeah,
in the mid-tens.
Jared Sillinger?
Yes. Jerebko?
Jonas Jerebko? Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk, obviously. Gonzaga Bulldog.
KO. Anyways, I guess.
And then Marcus Smart. I need to say that one. Obviously, he was there. But
yeah. So I think we've given our picks and everything on the finals. Don't know if there's too much more to go into there. So moving on now to, I think some discussion there should be, some discussion to be had with the team that got knocked out just last round, the most recent team to get knocked out of the NBA playoffs. And that is the Minnesota Timberwolves, which honestly is a great season. It might be it's like rivals the best season that they've ever had as a franchise. Very strongly, is a very strong competitor for that. And I don't know, like all the Jordan comparisons for Ant, I think is what has rubbed some people obviously the wrong way when, he's come to a little bit of a stutter stop here at the end. Although in that series, though, he did actually get better towards the end of the series. The last couple games were a lot better, especially the second to last game than he looked previously. But I don't know. This to me is just like showing that, this is why players don't win when they're 22. When, they're the best player on their team at 22. That doesn't happen. You don't see a team go all the way through the NBA playoffs at that age, led by somebody that young.
Yeah.
So that's just clearly why, because this series was an example of how, Luka is just a lot farther along in his timeline, had stuff figured out. He just had a counter for everything that the Wolves were doing. And Ant a lot of times just looked like he was being bothered and didn't know exactly how to respond in certain matchups or certain looks that they were throwing at him.
He's a young dude making his first real playoff run. Like, that's exactly. No matter how good you are, unless you are... Is there anybody that's ever been able to avoid that? I guess kind of, sort of Luka. But even then, he had like certain little growing pains, but like that's just what happens when you're a sub 25 first option looking to get to the NBA Finals. It doesn't matter what the NBA landscape looks like. It's not easy to get there, no matter who's in your way. It's going to be difficult. So, yeah, obviously the Jordan things I think came out way too early. It's because the big media had nothing better to do.
But he's very similar to a 22-year-old Jordan. I don't think that's unfair to say.
I think if it was framed more in that way, of like...
How is it not, though? Isn't that the way...
It didn't feel framed in that way.
People are saying baby Jordan. You know?
But when people say, like, baby Jokic and referring to Şengün,
I'm very pro that.
Do you think
I call him baby Jokic.
Yes, but I'm saying, is it because they're saying this is how Jokic was at that whatever age Şengün is?
Yeah, that's literally the comparisons that they put up on the screen whenever they do like on the broadcast where it's like, oh, baby Jokic, look at what Jokic was doing.
Baby Jokic or baby any player is like, it's that player
at their trajectory.
It's like, I guess maybe that's just not the way that I look at it. In my brain, it's like saying like not great value.
I don't know. To me, baby, that's the difference between those things. Is like baby X player
they're on that line
is like it's like a small young infant version of that player is going to become that player. Maybe. Hopefully, best case. You know.
So then, how many years do we have until Ant has like 45 a game?
You mean like 37 a game?
Or maybe it was the playoffs. He had 45 a game or a series.
In a series, yeah, I think Jordan has had that on a series, probably. Something like that, at least.
But when he had that, like, 37 a game, 2 steals, how many years are we out from Ant doing that? I don't know how old Jordan was when he did that. What was Jordan's best season?
You asked me a lot of different questions in a row. Well, okay, so 88 was the year that he averaged 37 a game, I think. Either 88 or 87. And 88 is oftentimes looked at as Jordan's best season.
Individually. Obviously, he won a lot of championships in other years.
Yeah, but as an individual regular season, 88 is kind of might be the best season ever. You know, he won MVP, he led the league in scoring by a large amount in a time in the NBA where it wasn't super fast-paced. It wasn't quite as slogged down as his later years would be, where the league got really slow, but it still wasn't super fast-paced. And he was scoring 37 points a game. He won Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. One of the only players to ever do that in the same season. I believe him and Bill Russell maybe has done it. And then Hakeem Olajuwon and Giannis, I think, was the other player. And I don't think Giannis did it the same season he won MVP. I might be wrong on that. But
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I don't know if he did
feel like
the same year.
Gobert and Giannis Gobert. I say Gobert because it's so spelled. Gobert and Giannis. I feel like when Gobert won DPOY, Giannis, that's like they like swept back and forth with each other. And the years that Giannis wasn't DPOY, he was MVP in that little run that he had.
I think he's won DPOY once. Giannis has, and he's a 2-time MVP.
He only has it once.
Yeah, he's in the conversation a lot, but he won it once.
For some
Anthony
reason,
Davis still hasn't won it at all. And you could argue Anthony Davis should have won the year that Giannis won. He was my pick, at least, for it. But obviously, but that I did note there that was like the best Defensive Player of the Year candidacy, the best race for that award that we've had in a long time, and probably since. I think that was the best two players being Defensive Player of the Year candidates.
This year was a pretty solid. I feel like even if Wemby was like did what he did and just wasn't a rookie. But no, I think it's just because of how much better the Wolves' defense was as just a whole entity. And
how not many minutes when Victor played.
That's a big part of it, too.
If you look at the on-court, if you're just doing when Wemby was on the court, the Spurs were like the 7th best defense in the league.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, obviously, he played less minutes and still had like 2.5 blocks a game. Like, that's like a pretty...
I think more than that, right?
Was it more than 2? Was it 3.1?
It's 3.1? That's what it was?
Was it? No, I was saying, was it 3.1?
You're asking.
That number popped into my brain.
I was thinking it was around 3.
3.6.
3.6.
What's the per 36 on that?
29.7. Okay, he ended up with a lot more minutes than I thought. I guess he ramped up towards the end of the season. Per 36 is 4.3.
Oh, that's still nuts. I just about said not as nuts. That is very clearly still nuts, but
4.3 blocks. Yeah, 3.6 blocks and not even averaging 30 minutes a game is insane. Because spoiler alert, nobody's done that with unlimited amount of minutes. Like, any number of minutes. Nobody's done that in a long time. Last time somebody did that was like Ben Wallace. I don't even know if Ben Wallace did 3.6.
Mark Eaton did it in 84-85 with 5.5 a game.
But that's that's a different era.
Manu Bol averaged 5 a game in the 85-86 season.
Yeah, I know these, but I'm saying like the in the modern era, When's the last time somebody's averaged 3.6 blocks in a game?
Jaren Jackson Jr. averaged 3, which is not the same, but that was in
last year,
22-23.
Mm-hmm. I knew that one, and that was a story for it being the first one that was that big in a long time. So this is majorly more than the biggest we've seen.
Miles Turner averaged just about 4 in 21.
Really?
3.38 in 2021.
That's the raw per game?
Yep, blocks per game.
Wow. I wonder why that wasn't as big of a... he played 47 games, I guess, probably is why.
Looking at other... Serge Ibaka had 3.6 in 2011-2012. Hassan Whiteside had 3.7 in 20...
I don't even count those, to be honest. One of the most infamous, he is a negative defensive player, even though he gets the most blocks in the league. Because he tries to get the most blocks in the league is the only reason. And that's all he cares about.
But no, it's a crazy list that he's a part of.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure. But doing it much less minutes than all of those guys. Anyways, yeah. We're talking about the Timberwolves right now.
Yeah.
So, Ant. Yeah, I just think he's on a young trajectory. I don't think there's any problems, honestly. That I don't think it's been like, he's a fake. He's not.
Oh no. He's not even close to that.
Yeah.
I'm just excited because you look at the NBA. We kind of touched on this, but the top 15 guys, 10 of them are under 30.
I guess. Do you want me to answer that thoroughly? I'm just trying to.
But just quick brain test.
Okay, I'll do it the reverse way. Right. I'll try to get more than 5 guys in the top 15 that are definitely over 30. LeBron, AD.
Yep.
KD, Steph.
Yep.
I'm already at 4. Kawhi.
Yep.
Jimmy's on the borderline.
Yep. Dame's on the borderline.
Yeah, I'd say Jimmy's closer.
But then it just flows off the tongue. Jokic, Luka, Tatum, Shea, Ant, the other guys, it's just Booker. Every other guy that you think of, they're all under 30.
Yeah.
And heck, even if you make the line 25, it gets a little harder, but it's still 6 of the top 15 are under 25, which is nuts.
Oh, okay. When you say you make the line 20, I thought you were talking about number of players. You meant age.
Either way, I think it just proves the point that there's a lot of insanely good young talent in the NBA at the current moment, and it's exciting.
Yeah. No, it is wild. It's very wild.
One of the players aging out of that is also on the Timberwolves. Cat.
Yeah, because he's almost 30. He might be. Is he 30?
Zestiest boy in the league. Was it 28? He's 28. Is it Big Purr?
Yeah, Big Purr. I was about to say that too.
No, my favorite is someone did that. They took that clip from Podcast P, and then it was what song was it? But it was meows instead of the words.
Oh, I've seen that. I think you might have sent that to me.
What words is it? What song is that? Is it Diamonds? But it's meows?
Like
Diamonds in meow, 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 meow. Is that it?
Maybe. I don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
I just remember the meow, like tonight, but it's meow, meow. Oh, that video's just goofy.
Yeah. Special K apparently is one of his nicknames on Basketball Reference.
Is Big Purr on there?
No, that's what I was going to look for.
That's devastating.
It should be. But yeah.
He hates it apparently, which I get.
Yeah, he does. Big Purr. But anyways, yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns, somebody that a lot of people have been discussing in trade rumors for obvious reasons. You know, somebody that we had a soundbite that I'm sure we'll post as a clip very soon of you especially sounding off on how you don't think Karl-Anthony Towns can win a championship. And if you're trying to win a championship as the Minnesota Timberwolves, you want Karl-Anthony Towns as far away from the target center as humanly possible. Okay,
and that's also like maybe a bit like it's not extreme, but there was moments in this playoffs where Cat was the best T-Wolf. Moments, not like there was just stretches.
I don't even think we need to go that far, but like at least he was.
There was like a quarter where like Cat was playing out of his mind.
I would say there for the whole first 2 rounds of the playoffs, it almost looked like we should have been biting our words a little bit or eating our words.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Sorry, Cat, you're that guy.
Yeah, because he was performing very well. He was the best 3-point shooter in the first 2 rounds in the NBA, in the playoffs.
And then the Mavericks
percentage-wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he didn't shoot well at all in the Maverick series, at least in the first 4 or so games, three games. And also down the stretch like of the season, at the last few games of this season for the Wolves, he definitely hit all of the high notes of what we had talked about and what I had mentioned of how frustrating he is as just like a feel for the game standpoint, like decision making and unnecessary aggressiveness and fouls at the wrong moments, and fouling out like on a I think Bill Simmons had the quote, but in one of the games, I think it was game 5 actually, game they lost the series on, that Karl-Anthony Towns had 6 fouls and every single one of them was like a what are you doing like none of them were like an understandable like, oh yeah, you picked that
good
up
foul, okay, yeah.
But all of them were like, why did you do that?
Because like, it's just also my thought is like, obviously you need to do more, but like money wise, you could package Cat and something. There'd be a lot of other hurdles, but like that could be Kevin Durant money, or that could be.
It's not happening. But
no, I'm not saying it. Well, I'm just saying that like the money that Cat cost is not small. He cost the Timberwolves a ton of cap space. That's the only comment I'm saying with that. Not that trade will happen. I just was using a big giant star name that like that could be almost anybody money, unless they've signed a deal in the past couple of years.
Yeah, no, I mean it's gonna have to be big name money though.
Yeah,
who you're getting in return has to be somebody big, or you're getting a lot of players combined, which I would lean the star back.
No, because the T-Wolves already have like a lot of guys that they feel good about that they like already kind of don't have minutes for. Yeah. So like going and getting a bunch of more of them is the opposite of what you need. Mm-hmm. You need one guy that just is the minutes that you need.
Yeah. And
Steph Curry, the T-Wolves right their wrongs. They don't take Ricky Rubio, they don't take Johnny Flynn, and they go get Wardell Stephen Curry.
Fit-wise,
that'd be fun. That'd be
another
fun.
one, definitely not.
Will never happen.
Foreseeing that, but
think how fun it'd be.
Yeah, no. Positionally, I think you're on the right track of what I'm kind of thinking. What I'm going for, is a point guard or a ball handling wing.
LeBron James. They just throw the wrench in the Lakers' plans.
That one,
Bronny.
That one is way more likely than the other two that you have just said.
Absolutely.
That one is actually, I'm like, huh.
Interesting.
Because LeBron, if like
AD would hate Cat more than words could describe.
I think they're pretty good friends, aren't they?
No, but I'm just saying in terms of what AD wants to do as a not as a human, as like, oh, I don't want to play the 5. You go get Cat.
He's been doing. What do you mean? That would, if anything, that would give him more of what AD has been playing with alongside no 5s. Cat would be the most 5.
The most 5-esque, but I guess there's no universe where if I have to have AD and Cat on the court at the same time, I'd rather have AD be a 5 just because of what he can do defensively.
I feel like most people would say Karl-Anthony Towns is a center, and most people would say, like, on their careers, Karl-Anthony Towns is a center, and Anthony Davis is a power forward. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, but I just feel like Anthony Davis has always been a 4 because until he got, like, he always had a 5 until he got to LA.
Yeah, but Cat is a 5.
Just in my brain, I don't know. I just put AD as the center with just those two, not as a center forever. But Cat just has never had another like actual big.
I guess. What do you mean?
Do you know what I'm saying from that side of it? Like, just mentally in my brain, they both were mostly playing the 4 or mostly playing the 5 because of their situation.
I don't know about that. Cat was been looked at as a center. Like, it was when they made the Gobert trade, everybody was like, Cat's going to play the 4? Like, that's not a thing you can do. That was like the big thing that people were saying.
I guess. I don't know. In my brain, he just is like a...
Like, I agree with you that, to me, AD is going to be doing a lot of the 5 things, but, like, that's...
Offensively,
he doesn't have to match
he
up.
wouldn't have to be the 5.
I think the thing that the part of the 5 that AD's wanted to stay away from for a long time was having to match up with the Jokic's and people like that, because he doesn't want to have to bulk up and
to do that.
Take beatings, and so because that hurts his durability if he has to put on. Obviously, when a player like that's injury prone, putting on weight is usually the opposite direction of being able to stay healthy. And AD had to do that in the last few years in LA to become the real center for them. So Cat is somebody that is bigger and he's played that position his whole career. He's guarded bigs his whole career. So I'm sure that obviously we just watched a series in which the team that had Cat won, having Cat guard the best center in the league, Nikola Jokic. And AD is literally what Rudy Gobert would be on the backside as the roamer.
Yeah.
So Cat, I think in the most traditional sense, there is the center, technically,
and Gobert's the 4.
AD.
Okay. No, but in the T-Wolf situation, Gobert was the 4
defensively,
which
kind of
feels omega cursed. That feels like the wrongest wrong. But I know what you mean, just defensively, and also positions don't matter anymore.
Yeah, it was the match. If you're going based off matchups, Gobert was on AG.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of time on that philosophy just because my noggin's not working today, but I appreciate you dumbing it down for me like a little schoolboy.
But anyway, yeah, Cat trades though.
Well, what else? Yeah, what else would like? So because we're on the same page, you would want a partner to pair with Ant,
somebody who can handle the ball.
Yeah. No disrespect to Minnesota Mike Conley.
Yeah, no, not at all. I've heard this take from a couple different people, and I fully agree with it. And I felt like it was, when sometimes you feel like you have a take that you just heard somebody else put into words, and you're like, it's not like that's the first time.
You worded that way better than I ever could. I think I've said that at least 12 times on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you worded exactly what I was thinking, just infinitely better.
So I had that happen in the last few days with the Mike Conley thing, where hearing Kevin O'Connor, I think, was one of the people I heard lay it out, but there was also somebody else. I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but talking about Mike Conley as like, it would be more ideal if he could fit more into like a Al Horford type of veteran role, where
Start
he's
sometimes, but bench a lot of the time, and just kind of rove around and do whatever.
Yeah, where you can night to night expect him to play like 24, 27 minutes and be very impactful in those minutes, but then not be the guy that you're leaning on to play big minutes and like having to have him a part of any lineup that has any semblance of like, order and direction. So you're wanting to make him the backup point guard, ideally, and make him kind of like the sixth man.
Mm-hmm.
So some players that can do that for you, the number one guy that people always throw out is Trae Young, for which I think is just a wild trade candidate for this idea.
I hate it.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like I'm not a big fan of this one. I just wanted to throw it out as
That's a name that you've seen.
Uh-huh. And I think it's interesting.
If Trae Young doesn't have a personality and it's just like
basketball
what his
player.
Abilities are.
Yeah.
Like just the talents he possesses. Not even how he uses them normally. Just the talents that he possesses as a basketball player.
Throwing lobs to Gobert, he really activates Gobert as like more than anybody that Gobert has played with thus far. He unlocked. It's like what Luka is with Lively and Gafford.
Yes, It would be huge for that. I mean, he did it with Clint Capella.
Yeah.
And then you've got obviously like the shooting aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and
yes,
passing just in general.
But I just feel like you can't have two big dogs like that.
It doesn't feel like
him and Ant, like they might be like cool. I just feel like on the court, their chemistry would be like oil water.
Imagining Trae Young being the sidekick, or is just hard to imagine.
And maybe Kyrie's proved us wrong. Not that him and Kyrie are the same, but like maybe things can happen.
But Kyrie's always been a sidekick.
Yes, but I'm saying that like Kyrie, in terms of like change, not the sidekick part, but changed his like mental approach like that.
He did?
He bought in, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Maybe that's a better word. He bought into what was asked of him, which people thought wasn't necessarily maybe possible.
Yeah. So obviously it's in the realm of like possibility, but I wouldn't feel great about that if I'm Tim Conley making a trade for Trae Young. To put on, I mean, it's better. I think it's an improvement. Trading off of Cat, getting Trae Young. Yes. I think you're going to have to add in some more though to get Trae, to be honest. But so my favorite one of these, and it's not even my favorite for the T-Wolves side of things. It's just my favorite for like the overall, what it does for both teams. And how it works out for like both players on both teams are kind of distressed assets. And honestly, this might be a trade where the other team has to throw in more to get Cat, but I still think it's an improvement, like a massive improvement for the Wolves. And that is Brandon Ingram.
Oh.
And I think it's wild to say, but I think it's also true.
It feels like he is a T-Wolf in my brain already. He's never played for the T-Wolves, has he?
No.
Just something about Brandon Ingram and the two. It just like is like a puzzle piece.
Really? I don't feel that way at all, but
maybe it's his face. I don't know.
But as I was saying though, that like Brandon Ingram, it feels wild to think that he's right now. It's a situation where the Pelicans would actually have to give up more than just Brandon Ingram to get Cat. But I feel like that's true
because it seems like not all as well.
Yeah,
with Brandon Ingram.
It feels like the Pelicans are like, oh, we need to move Brandon Ingram. And Cat is like, you can't even think of a better, like, can you think of a better team for Cat to go to than the Pelicans?
No, you can't.
Like, that's just so perfect. Like, that is
work money-wise. Have you looked at the monies numbers?
What do you mean? That's like a perfect fit. They're both max contracts.
I didn't know. That's what I was at. I just didn't know.
They're both like all NBA, or not all NBA, I think both of them have made all NBA. If Ingram hasn't, then he's been close. But money's going to be not an issue. They're both max guys. Brandon Ingram was a guy that just last year we were talking about as like a top 15. Like we thought he was definitively better than Jaylen Brown. Mm-hmm. That was a year ago.
And he's just had a weird
this downfall that he's kind of had. But it's not an aging thing. I think it's a lot of it might be a situation fit thing. And one of his main strengths is like he's a little bit point forwardy. He's a good ball handler, good passer. Mm-hmm. Somebody who can alleviate stress on Ant and Mike Conley, not make them be the ball handlers all the time. So it's not a perfect positional fit like what I was saying, like getting a point guard, but it handles some of those duties that you're looking for, though.
Yeah.
So I think that's a honestly really good fit. And I just love the idea of Cat and Zion together.
Yeah.
Like, it's the perfect stretch big. Like for Zion, what you want to find is just a big man who can stretch the floor and also just be an impactful player, like, overall. And Cat in an ideal fit, theoretically, is that. He can do that. So
looking at it, they just don't have anything else they could it'd have to be picks.
Yeah, picks would be the thing. And it wouldn't have to be much. It wouldn't have to be much. Let's be clear on that. It's not like Cat is like, eons beyond.
I did not realize how expensive the Pelicans were, just as an entity.
Yeah, because they got Valanciunas and McCollum both making over 20, right?
They're 1.7 over the tax line. Valanciunas is making 15.
Oh, wow.
McCollum's really making cheap. 35.
Yeah, okay. I knew that was definitely over 20.
And then you got Zion and Ingram both making 30 plus.
Only 30?
They got Herb Jones on a steal. He's making 12 a year for 4.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That was a good signing. And I'm so surprised Valanciunas is only 15.
It might be restructure or something, I'm not sure.
Huh. But yeah, that's wild though that the Pelicans. I mean, CJ McCollum. I don't think his contract is that much longer, is it?
3 years
after this one. So
that may be including this one, so it might be 2 more years.
Okay. But yeah, looking at Cat's contract though, he's at just under $50 million annually, and that's the smallest it is. That's next season. Year after that, it goes up to 53. Year after that, 57, and then 61 as a player option in the 27-28 season when he's 32. So not a terrible deal, but not ideal either.
No, it is not.
But literally could not cook up a better team to want that contract on their books than the New Orleans Pelicans, especially if they're still moving forward with Zion, trying to make that continue to, blossom and work and get that all figured out. I think that would be the way to go. But yeah, so those two were like the main ones that I thought were really interesting. Another option is going back to the Hawks and thinking about Dejounte Murray. But I like that
one more, but I don't think that's they won't get rid of. I think
money-wise, that one wouldn't work perfectly. You'd have to throw in some more on the Hawks side.
Which I don't know if you could get to a point money-wise, like where there's guys you want to give up.
I think you could give up, like Bogdanovich is a big chunk of salary. That would definitely get you there. Need to look up the Hawks roster, but I think even Hunter would be a good chunk of change that could get you there. I don't think you need like a crazy amount more. Because I think the numbers I just read you it doesn't matter at all to this current trade happening. If a trade were to happen this offseason,
is what you have to get it to.
Exactly. His cap hit for this NBA season that's currently still finishing out.
So you could do Murray and Bogdanovich or Hunter. Both of them would work.
Mm-hmm. You could also do getting a center back. Clint Capella would be more than enough, but I don't know if you would want that. Obviously, if you're T-Wolves,
I don't think you would want that.
Yeah,
but like, could I have a worse version of Rudy Gobert, please, for $20 million a year?
Yeah, but it could be somebody that they move off of to,
just do a quick flip.
Yeah, but I don't know I don't feel like there's a big Clint Capella market out there.
I don't think they want centers back. They have Naz Reid. I feel like they feel okay about their center depth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Hunter actually, he makes more than enough. That would be almost too much.
It'd be pretty close to too much. I guess I could just go. It is successful, so it would still go through.
Okay. But yeah, those would work. Trying to think of another point guard, honestly.
That would like be a feasible, like up in the air.
Somebody could go and get. Oh, I've also heard Kuzma. Similar to the Ingram one.
I don't think I like that as much as Ingram. More because I don't like Cat on the Wizards.
Who do you like on the Wizards?
No, I don't.
Give me a name that you would like on the Wizards.
No, that's true. It's more that the Cat in New Orleans is so like a glove, perfect parking spot.
Spoiler alert: we are not going to find another team that is at that level.
Like that.
I'll put money on that.
Think you've thought about it?
I haven't even thought about it that much, but it's just like it's such confident. A great fit that it's like there's no way there's that, because most teams you think of Cat, it's like, do we want him? But the Pelicans is like the only one that's like in a heartbeat. Yes, we do want Karl-Anthony Towns on this team.
Is the Pelicans?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously some other teams that would like him,
but not to the same. I was just like thinking through teams in my brain.
I mean, that's a team where it's not like terrible, but it's also not like, oh, yeah, that's a really good.
Now.
Yeah, I mean, because Wendell Carter is pretty good.
Do the Suns want him?
I don't know. That's not one that I hate, I guess, but it's also not one that gets my gears going all that much, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder. That's actually a pretty good one.
Ooh, the Gidster, but I don't like the Gidster out in. Actually,
wait, why not? Giddey?
No, actually, no. I'm thinking about it. Hold on.
I think we just fell into something really good, but also
almost better.
Money's got to have to wait better.
There's
than
gonna be some miracles need to be made.
Better than Ingram?
Not better, but the same. Like it's almost feels
closer.
Like warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Yeah. So Giddey's money is definitely not even close. So you'd have to
Gordon Hayward and Giddey.
Gordon Hayward. There you go, you detective.
Oh, it says you can't. Oh, it's because the contract will be over. So you'd have to do a sign and trade with Hayward, but you won't sign Hayward for that.
Is Hayward expiring?
Yeah.
Oh,
that ruins it.
Yeah, he is. Also, he was making 47 and a quarter. That's wild. That's what he just made this NBA season.
Was that because of the Celtics contract still, and it's just been traded around so many times?
The Hornets one.
The Hornets did pay. Okay.
Yeah, the Hornets.
I remember this vividly.
Maxed him out the wazoo. He was getting paid over 10 million, like about 12 million more than Shea was this season.
Dude, where is all?
What are you trying to find?
Like, I'm just mind boggled how the Thunder
have no salary.
Have nothing.
Because they're all young players. They got rid of all of they had some big contracts that they took on when they were tanking, but they've gotten rid of all of them now. Last one to go was, Gordon Hayward technically was the last one to go, but Bertans before that to get. But
it says Gordon they have Hayward. No cap room.
What?
It says, if I'm reading this correctly, they have less cap room than the Timberwolves.
That should not be the case unless it's still counting Gordon Hayward's
number into that. Maybe it is. I need to just go to Spot Track.
Were you on the ESPN trade machine?
Yeah. Just so I could click and it would give me the yes or no answer.
Yeah. Makes sense. But I like that one. That one's a lot more in theory, though. I don't know if that would actually work.
No, I don't know if they'd be like, oh, yeah, sure. OKC.
No, nothing to do with that, but like actually being able to make it work logistically with money.
If there was one more year on the Hayward deal.
Yeah, then it would be, that's an easy answer, but there's not, so.
Yeah. You have to, it has to be this year, though. Because the Cat only has this, it's this offseason, and then he gets paid 50-something, right?
Yeah. A little over what Gordon Hayward was just getting paid. It's like 49, but for next year. But, yeah, I don't know. I think we probably exhausted that, though. There's probably some more ideas we could cook up. Tyler Herro, I just thought of. Miami trade. I don't mind that. Tyler Herro and Ant would be
Jalen Green? No, that's too much overlap. I went to Rockets. I was just thinking of other teams.
too much overlap of what? You mean like Jalen Green and Ant?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
I feel like it'd be more than you'd want.
Yeah.
We found 2 gems near the mountaintop, in theory.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a high ceiling now of what's required to even be thought about.
Yeah, and I'd probably even put Trae Young over that one. Jalen Green. But Tyler Herro I might put around a similar level as Trae Young, but he's not near as good of a player. Donovan Mitchell. Somebody that has been discussed as being a trade
But
candidate.
Cleveland will be like, you're giving us what? Would you like us to run Mobley at the 3?
3-team trade, though, maybe?
Okay, now we're really cooking.
Not really. I mean, that happens pretty often.
Yeah, but I like my brain can't do that. Okay, so we got the Timberwolves.
The Pelicans. So Ingram goes to the Cavs. Mitchell to the Wolves. Ingram to the Cavs. And Towns to the Pelicans.
Okay. I do like Ingram to the Cavs. I know I like that.
Yeah, that's like a perfect fit. I just came up with this right now, and I love it.
So if you go, Donovan Mitchell goes to Minnesota,
which that's actually the team I like that the least for might be the Wolves, but it's a massive improvement. There's no doubt about that. It's a massive improvement.
Oh, the team that like doesn't get, but like gets kind of shafted a little bit.
Yeah, it's not like the most ideal because like Mitchell next to Ant is like, yeah, a little bit of overlap, but still you're getting like the ball skills that you're. Like, I like Garland even more in that
but
scenario.
I feel like that's not probably
why
on the table. I don't think. I might be wrong.
What do you mean not on the table?
I feel like they like Garland, and I mean. The reason the Mitchell thing was so interesting to me is because there's been like grumbling.
Yeah, there's more room because he's more unhappy. It seems.
Yes.
So
if you're Cleveland, which is not exactly what a great market we get to bring people to,
but at the same time, I think it solves things quite a bit with Mitchell if you do trade Garland because that's where the overlap is that they are like, we don't like this.
So then Ingram would still be a Cav. That would be the only change. Would be that it would be Garland going to Minnesota.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I actually really like that fit. Garland as the new starter for Mike Conley.
Yep.
That works a lot. Playmaking, decision making, can shoot. He's honestly a pretty similar player to Mike Conley, just minus the defense.
The trade currently fails.
Because Garland's not making enough, or why?
Because the Pelicans are exceeding the allowable income by $4 million.
They're getting Cat and giving up Ingram. Is Ingram's number that much bigger?
Oh, this is if Cat's making 49.
Yeah, which I don't think we have to go based off that number, do we?
I can't. I'm just going off of the spot track trade machine. I can't change the number that Cat's making.
Oh, you're using Spot Track trade machine now. I see. I'll do the ESPN one really quick. So we got New Orleans.
So this is going to be a nightmare for you to edit, but I think this is good.
Yeah. We got New Orleans, Minnesota, and then we have Cleveland was the other team. So Darius Garland is making $34 million, which he actually is making a little bit more than Mitchell, apparently. Which I don't know how that works. He just signed his contract more recently, I guess. But so adding Karl-Anthony Towns into this, his number is 36. We're gonna send him to the Pelicans, and then on the Pelicans
so this
roster,
would all work if those are the numbers they go off.
Yeah,
of.
They fit perfectly,
almost comically so. It needs to happen. It will happen.
And nobody gives picks. Just that. Obviously, that won't happen because the trade that doesn't happen.
No,
but if there were to be a trade like that, it might be this one. I think
who gives up extra
Maybe the Cavs.
Really? Because in my brain, like, I get the player's caliber, but, like, the upside of, like, Garland.
Yeah.
I feel like you could argue, like, no, you give us 2 seconds, Minnesota. Like, you're giving up the best player, but you're also getting the highest upside if things go well. You know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, I feel like that's, like, a real argument they can make.
Yeah, I think it would be more than 2 seconds.
Just like, we have a 3 that's better than Max Strus.
I don't know if anybody's hanging up the phone over a deal for 2 seconds, but...
I just said 2 random picks, but...
Yeah. Probably
I want this to happen
first.
so bad. Like, I'm going to re-download 2K onto my computer so I can, like, sim this.
Yeah, this
and,
trade.
like, force it to go through.
Uh-huh.
Just the way that, like...
I would be curious to see what the computer thinks, like, who would say no if it does.
That is an interesting idea.
We should test that.
I feel like it would be the T-Wolves would say no.
Really?
Because the computer probably has some sort of, like, untouchable thing on Cat.
I don't think so. I doubt it.
I haven't played 2K this year, so I don't know.
I doubt that would be the case. I mean, he's just one of the most infamously talked about guys
to be traded.
You know?
Outside of Jaylen Brown, don't forget. Stupid.
I would say Cat is much higher.
I was making a joke
from,
like, last year when, like, in the middle of the playoff run, they were like, Jaylen Brown wants to be traded. And that was, like, the talk of the talking heads.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that'll be it for today's episode. Obviously, we didn't get to what we had planned, but we have, kind of lingered a little bit here with the trades, which is okay. I think we got some good discussion out of it. But yeah, I guess, thank you guys for listening. Do all the stuff that we said at the beginning. Patreon, buy me a coffee, hooptheory.mailbag@gmail.com, TikTok, all the stuff. Stay happy, stay healthy. We'll talk to you guys next episode.
Peace.